Okay. We started off on our boat voyage to I'm out of inspiration again. We started off on our boat voyage to the Styes, and the boat got ambushed by a couple Marids and their water elemental friends. It was a bad time for everyone involved.
Mostly
Uh,
you.
I mean, it was not. It was not a good time for Zashel, who had to drop a synaptic static on himself. But there were plenty of other people in bad situations. That he went down, like, the fog cloud on the boat that made it impossible to see. Vestra was left with damp hair when the wind wall ended before, could get a full blow
Yeah,
dry out of it.
it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough.
Yeah. And then Lucky dumped a bunch of water on everyone right after people dried off. It was great.
Yeah, we all had a bad day.
I had a great day.
All right. Well, everybody but Vicar has had a bad time. Okay, I see what's being written in chat. You're all right, but
Did I
it's
even take
hard.
a hit?
Anyway, we made it to the we
You
made it
notice I
to
started typing and then stopped typing.
we made it to the Styes, where we spoke to the harbor master, who told us that Counselor Thornwell uh, was rumored to traffic with demons and devils and all that jazz, which piqued Vestra's interest. We had a conversation with Counselor Thornwell, which Yop did not attend because poor Betty was caught in an anti magic field, and Yop refused, kind of rightly so, I think we all agree, to proceed and without Betty. Um, those of us who went up and spoke to Counselor Thornwell got sort of the details that Jeremy Lavage had been arrested for these murders. They had been found by the militia with bloody hands and a twisted dagger. They were brought to an asylum where they saw no guests, and then were, the day before we arrived, hanged. Despite their time in the asylum and, dead, another body washes up on shore with the same sort of mauling types of wounds that the other bodies uh, all displayed. The killings had been attributed to a urban legend called the Lantern Ghost, um, before Jeremy was caught and executed. Thornwell is pretty sure that because of the extra body, Thornwell is sure that Jeremy was not the killer and is hoping that we can find out um, who the actual Lantern Ghost is. Is largely doing this in the hopes that one of the other council members might be behind it, and they can get one over on any other council members that might be around. Thornwell also did confirm their interest in the Far Realms, but purely academic, air quotes. We know that we can't speak. We have not a ton to go off of right now because we can't speak to Jeremy. He was cremated at the Sliris mortuary. Sliris is another one of the members of the council. Because of the pollution in the alchemical quarter, the those who have been interred in the ground already tend to get up and walk around. They don't stay dead like they're supposed to. A couple other names that we were given were Constable Jute, who is in charge of the militia and may have more information about the actual arrest. Eleanor Lavage is Jeremy's sister. She believes that he was innocent, but nobody has been paying attention to anything she says. We also bumped into Nachary and Nicholas, two residents of the Styes who purported to be guides, and when asked about Thornwell, said they had spent some time on the property and not seen anything untoward going on. As we all exited, Yop was putting up a sign telling people about the anti-magic field, and we bumped into Kithri, a halfling woman, and Zashel's older, younger sister.
Older, younger.
She is the older of the two halfling sisters.
Hmm. Yeah, all right. So, where do you want to begin your investigations?
With Zashel's sister.
So,
The interrogation begins. I mean, if you have questions for her, you're welcome to ask them.
Actually, I have a question. Vestra has a question for Zashel. Wait, I thought you were raised by. Like I just thought, she's like a snake god or something, right?
What? Oh! I see. I see who you were I thought you were talking about the. No. I was raised by my father, Kriv. He's actually not far. How is he doing, by the way, Kithri? We were in Seaton a few days ago, but I never made it out.
Oh, fine. Think good. Homestead's fine. Got your letters. We're working on getting together for the holiday, for the solstice, but that's still a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, hopefully our business in Seaton will be done by then, and I can attend. We should probably have this discussion not on the streets. Is there? Oh, I forgot to ask Thornwell for accommodation recommendations.
Oh, well, I'm staying at a place called Frother's Lamp. It's not what I'd call fair accommodations, but it's affordable.
Dashiell just sort of looks around at everybody.
I don't really have any money, so wherever is good.
I mean, this is official business, so it should be.
There is plenty of money for accommodations.
Is it? Why don't we just? Yeah, let's just head there. That's fine. Is it just you, Kithri?
Yeah, Serafina is back home still. But this is sort of my area of expertise anyway.
Wait, what is your area of expertise?
Tending and the wilds. I'm a student of the natural magic. And our sister is as well, but she has a calling and has an order by which she has to dictate her life. I am less bound.
I don't mean to be rude, but I think the only thing natural here is the shit that I just stepped in. So
That's sort of why I'm here. Cities, land masses, particularly features of this type, while unnatural, belong still in the ecosystem. In fact, a man-made peninsula, a man-made island is less obtrusive even than building a city in a prairie. Uh, However, and she points towards the smoking, belching chimneys in the alchemist's corner of the city. That has deep repercussions that it is my obligation to try to soften.
How long
why
have you?
are you? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just curious why you're obligated to do it.
Simply because I've been asked.
Who asked you?
The creatures that suffer here, the water and the rivers that are all fed from this ocean. Oh, they are the home of the plants and animals that then move inland, and those plants and animals feed further plants and animals on land, and those in turn are hunted by bigger things, including humanoids, and when they are poisoned, that poison seeps into everything.
It's very noble.
She grins up at you. It's not
Oh,
hero's work, it's just community service.
I beg to differ. I believe that is hero's work. It's the small things that often add up.
how long have you been in the styes?
Um, Only a 10-day? She kind of lifts her fingers and counts on her fingertips.
So you were here when they found when they found the killer, I think.
The lantern ghost.
Yes.
Yes, I was. I heard he was executed.
We are looking into whether that was the right individual. I
Oh,
suppose you've been busy.
You haven't heard any like rumors or anything about it, have you?
she shakes her head and she says, the most that I've heard is just people at Frother's Lamp talking about it. Just that they finally caught him and he's been put to justice. I don't even think I caught the poor fellow's name.
So what was Asher like as a child?
Oh dear.
Oh, I have some fantastic stories. She begins walking, leading you into the city as her familiarity may be, and tells many stories of how he was the exact model of an older brother in every regard, to the point that it drove her and her sister absolutely insane. Their brother as well had not disdain but deep dislike for perfect child Zashel, who would sit and let his hair be brushed and get dressed up and play dress up games and do everything exactly as he believed it needed to be done, which lent to pretty much no creative play during creative play, which was where the girls would inevitably become terribly bored and abandon him to go do things on their own.
All I'm saying is you can't call it a tea party if you're not actually having tea. That it's at that point it's just a dish party. That's
Oh, Zashel.
Or a conversation party.
So he was always like this.
Oh, absolutely. As long as we were all a family. Uh, She walks you into. You guys are. You guys are current. Well, where's my little? There we go. You guys are here-ish, and she begins walking you actually towards the factory buildings into this quarter of town, where the water is dark and sludgy with alchemical waste, and eventually past it, um, through the city. This is quite a hike, actually, and then ferried over to uh, this little landmass here. To this.
And it's all like twisty, like small alleyways mostly.
Actually, no. This place holds even though it is dense, it holds the infrastructure for a place that was once highly trafficked. The roads are pretty wide, and look as if they had a lot of money invested into them at their creation, just not in their upkeep.
Okay.
And then finally, she takes you to a decommissioned stone lighthouse, whose light has been shattered, and actually looks as if it is leaning and sinking somewhat into the plank work of this landmass, and takes you inside to a dingy hole-in-the-wall tavern. This does make the empty net look like a proud and noble establishment.
Oh my. Okay. I won't say anything. I won't say
Okay, look, I'll be the one to say it. I'm not staying here.
That wasn't, but yeah, no, we should all of us find better accommodations. This seems, although I suppose if we're going to get answers, this isn't a terrible place to start. Get the word on the street, so to speak.
Could buy a few rounds for some of the folk here, but Zashel, you should really get your sister better accommodations.
He is very clearly straining to say, my sister is an adult. She can make her own decisions. If this is where she chooses to stay, I will respect that decision. However, if it is an issue of pricing for accommodations, I would also be quite happy to provide for somewhere nicer. I am in agreement with Veska here. This is probably not where we should be.
History is is there a particular reason you stay here?
Mostly for the common folk. It is farther away from the factories and closer to the ocean. The air's a little bit cleaner here.
How are the drinks?
Shit.
Oh.
No, this place is just unacceptable. We should probably move on.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we have a round and, see what the scuttlebutt is.
Yop walks up to the bar and orders around. Okay, let's get this over with.
Okay, we will professionally mingle.
I am a little terrified of the way that you phrased that, but
Okay.
I do not think the stools will hold at least 2 of our weights.
Zashel pointedly looks anywhere else.
Who would you like to speak to? Barkeep, locals, yeah.
Is there like old grandmother in this place? Like
Not in this place.
an older lady? You know?
No, not in this place.
Vestra, I'm right here. It's not very nice.
Well, yeah, I would never presume to call you grandmother. I mean, unless you wanted me to.
Oh my.
Oh,
Say, barkeep. What's the word on the street about the Lantern Ghost?
Sorry. Did you hear? They finally caught him a couple of days ago. Yeah. Some fella. I don't know his name, although I might have heard it bouncing around here in Flotsam, but it's a long shot.
In Flotsam, is that where we are?
Q3 leans over and says, "They call this part of town Flotsam."
Charming.
Yeah, let's see, I think he had a sister. Used to hang out, didn't see him too often around here, but, I heard someone telling me that, they found him in the Alchemist's Corridor, maybe spent time out there. But, could have been a factory worker too.
A poor family.
Well, I mean, poor as in having raised a murderer,
Well, just it's a terrible situation for everyone, isn't it?
yeah, I suppose. I know, it's puzzles. But besides that, I don't know much about it. It was pretty quick. They found him, killed him. That's about as much as I know.
I mean, I'm not from around here, but I've heard that your dead come back to life.
I mean, it's not terribly regular. It's just happened once or twice. But enough times to put enough spook in the local rumor mill that we just thought it was just made to be easier to start cremating bodies instead. Anyone who can't afford to be resurrected or can't be for whatever reason, it's just easier that way.
Well, I'm sure the temples in town must be having a hard time of it.
I think it all came to a reasonable conclusion on the between the council. Well, truth be told, actually, we don't have many temples at all around here.
No temples to Kalimvor or.
Hell no. In fact, most folks around here don't fancy themselves particularly religious.
Say, how long have you lived in town?
Born and raised. Some 40 years.
Now, does that predate the alchemists coming to town?
I don't know if I know this town to ever been spiritual in my time, although I certainly have seen some temples come and go, mostly go.
And what of the alchemy that seems to be fouling the river? Has that been here longer than you have?
Oh no, shit, that's probably 20, 15 years something. Establishment for sure, and certainly drove away all the tourism.
Interesting. Always, in the 40 years you've been here, always an issue with the dead rising?
No. The graveyard itself is still a pretty lovely sight if you're into that sort of thing. Bit of a historical monument after a manner. That is, if you don't mind dealing with Slyris poking around and being nosy.
Oh, yeah.
Lyris is the council member who owns the mortuary. Why would they be poking around the cemetery if their work is done?
Well, the mortuary is built just outside the graveyard, mostly in the event that any of the corpses come out. She's pretty good at putting an end to their walking if it happens.
Well, about when did the dead start rising in this town?
That's a good question. I don't think I could properly give you a time. I just certainly know it never happened when I was young, and it's only happened a couple of times, since.
Yeah, it does sound like a couple of times too many, though.
Agreed. I think most people could agree to that.
Could I get like a plate of oysters or clams or something?
You want
Are
them
you
cooked
insane, Vestra? I mean, yes, no, that would be lovely, I guess.
cooked or pickled or cold?
Um, some of each, I suppose.
No.
He nods and steps away to go and fetch an order for you.
This will be an embarrassing cause of death. Not the most embarrassing I've heard, but up there.
Short time later, someone comes with a plate of steaming, chilled, and pickled clams.
Oh, God.
The idea of pickled clams is just stomach turning. Oh,
Yeah. Bottoms up.
I think this merits a con save.
Okay, you got it. It's a 22.
That does not go down easy. By a long shot. But it does not come back up, which is fabulous.
Yeah, I think I can taste the alchemy in that one.
Mm-hmm.
no.
Are you
Actually,
doing this because
okay,
you are hungry or
this
because
salad looks fucking incredible. Not like
Yeah,
it looks
really does.
good, but it's very artsy.
Yes.
Sorry, continue.
I thought he served also salad. That was very artsy. I was like, well, okay, so like the
Weird
salad,
flex.
he's like really good at greens.
Salad's incredible.
Right. The place is a dive, but they have a chef who's into hot cuisine.
Yeah. The roughage.
All right. Well, with regard to our task, that sounds like a place that might bear some investigation, but that I suppose gives us three real options. I
I think we should
What do you,
talk to the sister, honestly. the constable could be trouble. We don't know, what their disposition is.
Who?
True.
Constable Jute?
I slurp another clam.
Oh, she's actually a gem. Very sweet woman.
So many women in power here.
No joke, when I was reading this module, I was like, are they like trying too hard?
So the constable's like a woman of the people, fights for justice and all that.
Yeah, you could say that, although most of the militia isn't too fond of her. If you ask me, and he leans forward, most folks who join the militia are very interested in just the pay, and particularly for the under-table pay from council, city folk, whatever you want, whatever. They're very happy to pay anyone to look the other way, and most folks in the militia are only there for that reason. Jute's there for the right reasons.
She's the one that caught the lantern ghost, right?
Oh no, that would have been someone or other, although she'll ultimately be the one who gets the credit for it as far as reporting goes and any information sent abroad.
What's there to do here?
Well, you can taxi around on some of the local ferries. There are some folks that offer tours. You can get stabbed if you feel like it. You can head to the marketplace. There might be some interesting things out there. Folks out in the alchemy quarter are all trying to peddle their wares. Let's see. I mean, this place used to be a great place for gambling and acquiring fine liquors and tobacco, but that has, as I said, long faded.
Though I suppose there's still some that have access to that sort of thing.
Sure, but it's not like it used to be. It's more of a way that you know you're going to get scammed rather than tourist kind of scammed, you know? You go to a big city, you know you're going to lose money, but here you're going to lose money and you're not going to have fun doing it, I'd say.
What about any professional minglers?
We certainly have a number of those. Some folks fancy themselves as very expensive escorts of whatever degree you'd like to call it. Some people make it their business to know the town particularly well to avoid any places which might get you stabbed if you're not into that sort of thing. And then plenty of night entertainment as well, though not as glamorous as it once was.
I seem to have forgotten your name.
I did not offer it.
Oh, well, my name's Vestra. What's yours?
Jimmins,
Jimmins.
like Simmons and Jim.
What sort of things are you into, Jimmins?
Well, in my free time, I try to keep this old lighthouse from sinking into the ocean. And between that and this full-time job, don't really do much else.
Running a business is hard work.
That it is. Especially when you got a chef in the back who's obsessed with making the perfect salad and doesn't have anyone's respect for time.
I eat more clams.
All right, gang, what's up?
I think we need to come up with some sort of strategy on how to proceed with this investigation. I know Vestra mentioned that speaking with the sister might be a avenue to pursue. I'd like to investigate these bodies that have been discovered since poor Mr. Lavage has been hanged.
I think you're confused. Yeah, there have been no bodies. And Zashel eyes the bartender.
He's got Butterbur passive perception of like 6, so you're fine.
Okay. Remember that the issue of the new victims has been kept from the public, so as not to cause a panic. We should be careful who we reveal that information to. Although I suspect that Constable Jute will already know, since it would be within the purview of their duties to be informed of such a thing. I think we have 3 avenues for investigation. We have Jute, we have the sister. I agree with you, Vestra, that she is worth speaking to, and we have the cemetery itself.
And we have your sister.
Key3 wiggles her fingers.
Who also now knows, a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But she's family, so.
How has the Styes treated you? We've been told that this place is very dangerous.
She lifts part of her tunic to reveal a healing stab wound.
Yep, I'm going to need that business card that we acquired earlier today.
I believe I had it right.
Vicaris, I'm going to need that business card that we acquired earlier today.
Regardless, we'll pull it out and hand it to him.
And her name is Key3?
Yeah, Kith3.
Kith3. I asked Kith3, I take a look at the wound, like, does it need attending to?
You can tell by however it is dressed that whoever has done so is remarkable in medicine.
Okay.
Oh, not well then, is the answer.
Could be better, but could absolutely be worse. I mean, you should see the other guy. She grins.
I suspect we might see him at the cemetery later this evening, walking around. Still can't land those jokes. Okay.
She pats your leg.
Well, do we all want to go together towards something, or should we split up and, cover a little more ground? Also, it's like late afternoon, early evening.
There are what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. I would say no more than 2 groups if we split up, although I don't think any group should do the cemetery on their own if...
Sorry.
Neither group should do the cemetery on their own, given the reports of things walking around. We have all of us dealt with um, returned dead, and even if they are not as dangerous as some of the things we have faced before, I think it's best if we don't take any chances in that regard.
I think that's a fine idea.
Two groups or one. Also, we have the hunt for perhaps other lodgings if we'd like, and we should like to do so.
These clams are kind of growing on me. I don't know. I think I might
You
actually.
mean
Yeah,
grow
yeah,
meat.
that's mold.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. I don't think that one was actually dead. It was just chilled, and so now it is literally stuck to your hand.
Oh,
I do not know what they pickled, the pickled ones, and it does not smell right.
Well, perhaps we should secure other lodgings first, and then
Mm.
proceed with our investigation.
we'll need to find out where the sister lives or works or whatever it is that she's doing.
That's true. That shouldn't. Well, I will assume that uh, Constable Jute should have that information for us. If we go there first, they can direct us to Eleanor.
What's the plan for the constable? How do we convince them to release privileged information or allow us to work with them, considering that we can't tell them why we're here?
Yeah, I suppose in that case it would. That is unfortunate that we need the constable to get to the sister, because if we could get to the sister first, then we could go to the constable on behalf of the sister, which we can't. It would be awkward to then ask for the address of the person that we are there on behalf of.
What about that card?
That's true. They may know. Of course, they may also just try to stab us, but I suppose we'll find out.
No, the businessmen, right?
No, I know what
Scammers.
you meant. Knackery and Nicholas.
Yes. No, they'd be fools for turning down good money like us.
I was planning to hire them. I will look at the card.
Yeah, you have actually an address that is in Flotsam. It's only a few blocks away from this fine establishment.
They're apparently not far, so if we speak to them, perhaps they can guide us to. They can guide us to Eleanor and perhaps find our accommodations, and then we can speak to the constable after that. And if we have time before sunup at that point, graveyard, maybe we can knock this all out in one day.
I eat the last of the clams.
Thoughts? No, all right.
Headed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go.
Sasha will drop a couple silver on the bar.
Okay. You all begin marching through this lonesome quarter of the city, full of people, flushed in the face, and they look like they have uh, rubbed their eyes almost raw. Some people seem to be moving very slowly, and eyeing you with both like greed and fear. Um, but you are unaccosted as you approach a very very narrow storefront that looks like it has spent substantial amount of money investing in in the paint job of its front door and its glass window pane that loudly proclaims Nick and Knack uh, public services. Um, and a little bell jingles when you enter. You see a warmly lit room with mismatched but very expensive furniture inside, and the two gentlemen that you encountered in the street lounging about, one suddenly jumping to his feet when you approach, and loudly proclaiming, "Ah, you've returned. Do you wish to seek our services?"
We need to find a certain individual. We have a few, I suppose, questions about what the latest, what did you call it, Vestra? Scuttlebutt?
Yes, I read it in a mystery novel. It's something investigators say.
I see.
Oh, we specialize in scuttlebutt, don't we, Nick? And the other one stands up and pulls a curtain back over one of the walls, revealing a chalkboard with scuttlebutt, hearsay, rumors, this and that, all listed uh, down the line. Each one with a price. Each price 10 gold.
I legit love these two. Right out of a fucking cartoon. It's great. Uh, so I guess we'll start with the scuttlebutt, and we'll put 5 gold into each of his hands and hold one out to begin with.
Nakari takes that 5 gold, rolls between his fingers, and passes it to his comrade. Anything of great interest? Anything of inquiring interest?
As many details on the lantern ghost as you can give us.
Ah, the lantern ghost. Let's see. Some 10 killings in the past month. Uh, Quite a high hit rate, as they've said before. All stabbed and ripped apart, left empty. Very odd corpses they've found. All of them promptly disposed of, naturally, at the mortuary. Uh, Following his capture, I don't know if the guards who found him ever were named, although, as per the usual, all the militia's greatest successes are attributed to our great commander, Miss Droot. She is, after all, the best that the crown had to offer. And shortly after the investigations concluded, and the criminal was brought in, turned over to Open Air Asylum, where there were no visitors permitted. Although, and he taps the side of his nose, we hear that one of the council members was allowed private audience with him. Shortly afterwards, the council nearly unanimously decided that it was best to ensure there would be no more victims of the Lantern Ghost, and just after his stay at Open Air, he was publicly hanged until dead, and shortly after that, interred and cremated.
2 questions, and he will hand over the remaining 5 gold.
Happily takes it.
Which council member was allowed the private audience, and which council, you said near unanimous decision to execute Jeremy, was the dissenter the same council member who was allowed audience?
There are 4 members of council, and any decree of any sort must pass, will pass if only 3 of them are to vote on it. Mr. Dory, a merchant in town, we do not know the votes per se. We only know the results of the votes. Mr. Dory is one such member of council. Rashlan, another, a very wealthy man, comes from old money. Believe he made it all when we were once a jewel on the coast, but no longer. Celeris, manager of the mortuary and cremator extraordinaire, and then Mistress Thornwell, the dark witch in her own tower. And what was your other question?
That was both of them. Which
Okay.
was the one that dissented, and which was the one that saw Jeremy, which they said is Dory. What does Dory do?
Well,
You
he's a
said
business tradesman, owns a lot of vessels and a warehouse, and procures goods both casually and secretively,
import export, as it's called.
and a lot of import. Although you'd be hard pressed to find anyone around here that isn't doing something of the sort.
How is it that you know that it was Counselor Dory that saw Jeremy?
Oh, Mr. Dory has a rather prominent visage, and it only takes a little bit of inquiring to find out if anyone has actually seen him recently or not. In fact, it is very rare that he has been seen. He's so busy in that warehouse. No, he cuts a very distinct figure. Broad, short, and very, very sweaty. As clammy as an individual as you could ever come across.
Burp.
Might say pickled.
You know, as you should mention it, that would be an apt description for him.
That is. How much gold do I have? Well, is there perhaps? I will pull out 5 more gold. If we wanted to speak to our hanged man's family, would you be able to point us in the right direction?
Oh, the lovely Eleanor. Absolutely.
I will pass over those 5 gold.
Although more permanent use of our resources does come with that fee we had previously discussed.
It sure does. Right now, we are simply discussing. Zashel will look over towards Vicaris. Do we have any further questions, before we decide whether to hire these two gentlemen?
Not for me. He just kind of glances. He's kept his eyes suspiciously on them the whole time. He does not trust this entire thing, but doesn't have any better answers. So,
I'm confused as I shall hire them for what exactly?
Well, we would need to hire them to bring us to Eleanor, since it sounds like that is the only way in which we will be able to speak with her. Would unless you can think of another way to.
Well, I'm confused. What did you just pay them for? You asked if they could lead us to the family to speak with them, and they took the 10 gold and said, yes, but you'd have to hire us.
Yes, that
Seems-
was a down payment on the previous fee that we had discussed. Or not down payment, deposit. But I figured, given the information we have already received, if we decide not to hire these two individuals, that I've gotten my money's worth in information.
Are you hiring them?
Dasha will hire them out of his own pocket.
Okay.
how much is it?
100 gold.
100 gold.
Why don't you just take it from the horde? I mean, technically we have to vote on it, but it's just a simple majority.
Yeah, we don't need to do that right now. I'll
Okay.
submit a petty cash reimbursement later. It's fine.
It wasn't voted on beforehand.
I'd like to lean into Zashel and whisper into his ear. You might want to give them something for their discretion.
Am I correct in the understanding that the payment for services rendered comes with a certain amount of discretion on said services?
The two of them immediately shake off their coats and turn them inside out to a very drab appearance, and punch their caps inside out and don them again. Dumb fucking characters.
I mean, that's just brilliant, really. I actually meant more in case someone comes asking them about us.
Oh, you are private clients. We would expect nothing more of anyone we would hire in our place.
So, what you're saying is, if anyone else involved in this matter of the Lantern Ghost has hired you for any reason, you wouldn't share any details about them with us.
That's only fair.
Yes, this is money well spent.
How exciting. We're like detectives now.
Ooh. Nick pulls a magnifying glass from a desk drawer. To Lovage. Daddy, you got it.
I'm dying. God. It really got me with the board, with the words scuttlebutt, like rumors and all of that.
Hard boys. Can't not imagine them as fucking the Venture Brothers.
God,
Let's go find the sister.
we still have not actually secured lodging. We should do that along the way.
Oh, well, we specialize in that, and you have hired our services for the day.
We do not require anything extravagant, but something better than where we were.
Oh, where were you?
The
Right.
lighthouse place.
Oh, how embarrassing. Dreadfully sorry that you had to see our beloved city at such a state, but we can certainly find you better accommodation.
Something with a stable near a butcher.
Stable near butcher.
What?
Nick pulls out a piece of paper or a notebook and begins scrawling some notes. Did you get that, Nick? And he nods. Excellent. All right. And I should take you all to Miss Lovage's current either workplace or home. He looks outside and gauges the sun in the sky. Workplace, and then we should find you a suitable accommodation greater than Frother's lamp next to a butcher with a stable.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
He steps out into the streets and gives a sharp whistle, and shortly after that, rowing down the waterways is an individual with a jaunty cap, who grins at the two of them. His little rowboat seems more than capable of carrying all of you, and all. How many of you are there? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Load up into this tiny rowboat, which seems quite burdensome to this rower, but regardless, he presses on. And because you have hired these two, you guys forego any muggings and robbings that otherwise would have impeded your advancement.
Dang it.
Let's see. This little boat takes you actually to back towards the alchemist's quarter, following the waterway to about here, and then Nick and Knack take you a little ways in some to a very small little shop. It looks like it is a clockworker's shop. A mechanist of some kind seems to work here. Hanging from the signage is a wooden placard that has two peculiar spectacles, and then the scrawling. What's the word? Painting that just reads Rephraim. And the two of you, or the two, open the door for you, lift their caps as you all pass under. Inside of this dark little place, there is clockwork everywhere, and all of it looks half done, and all of it ticks, and all of it whistles, all of it dings, and all of it smells like grease. There are hundreds of books lining every available inch of shelf space, and what looks like a tiny cot propped up in one corner. Um, that is also covered in books. A very weathered older gentleman crawls out from the back. I say crawls. He's very hunched, and he takes his time coming out to greet you all. and he says, "Oh, do we have guests?" And he adjusts his spectacles, and those peculiar spectacles are, in fact, the ones used in his signage outside. My name is Rifram. How can I help you?"
I understand you might employ a woman by the name of Eleanor Lavage.
Oh, yes, yes. Just, do you wish to speak with her?
Please.
One moment. He hobbles into the back again, and you hear some talking, and eventually, a a much healthier looking person, who has sort of red smudging around her eyes as well, a blotchiness to her complexion, and dark hair, steps out to greet you all. Yes, how can I help you?
Miss Lavage, my name is Ashel. We represent the Lighthouse branch of Acquisitions Incorporated. These are my associates, Vicaris, Yop, Lucky, Lauren, Null, and Vestra.
Hello.
We
Hello.
would. We are looking into events here in town and understand. Well, we have been hired by an anonymous party to look into the events surrounding the Lantern Ghost. Now, before we understand that you believe your brother was innocent of these crimes, and that is actually exactly what we have been hired to prove. I was hoping we could have a moment of your time.
Oh, mercy. Yes, yes. Anything I can do to help, I would. Refram, they're here to. They're here about Jeremy. And he steps back into the light and just, oh, thank heavens. Yes, is there anything we can do to help the both of us? Well, naturally, of course, Eleanor is his sister, but he was a close friend of mine as well. Poor fella. If
Well,
you're.
we are we are sorry for both of your losses. What can you tell us about Jeremy? What type of person was he?
Uh, a hard worker and a fine fellow. He was very sweet and caring and helped take care of me and as I aged and took care of his parents until they both passed. Worked many long days at the factories to make ends meet. Uh, Often helped me bring my wares out to market if I wasn't able to take them myself. And Eleanor nods and says, "He really was very kind, not particularly very well spoken, um, and well, it just it doesn't seem like something he was capable of doing. I mean, he maybe had a temper, but he was never violent."
Did he
What
have any
Uh,
enemies? Those that would wish to see him harmed?
Goodness, no. He did his work and he did it well, and he barely had anything to show for it by the end.
this temper, um, is there any common things that would set it off?
Oh, well, I suppose working as he did, it is backbreaking work. If he would get too tired, then sometimes he'd shout, but again, he never was violent, and everyone gets overworked every once in a while, right?
Suddenly.
The group, 4 days past their friend's death, all sort of stare at each other.
Did he show any interest when the killings began?
Oh no. I requested him that he start walking to work with at least a neighbor. Most people who live out in this quarter do work in the factories anyway, so finding someone to walk with isn't hard. He told me not to worry, but I think that he still often did.
What things do they make in those factories?
All sorts of
Uh,
things, mostly potions.
Did any of you or Jeremy know any of the victims personally?
I certainly didn't. And as far as I know, Jeremy didn't tell me if he knew any of them. And Rephram also shakes his head.
I apologize, but your brother was found with one of the. Well, he was found with blood on his hands and a twisted dagger nearby. I don't suppose either of you have seen this weapon, or.
No, absolutely not.
Did he carry a blade with him, perhaps for personal protection?
Not that I had ever seen.
What sort of relationship would your brother have had with any of the members of the council?
I don't think any. He wasn't tied to them through work, and it's not as if he lived close enough to any of them to know them personally.
We understand you were not able to see your brother while he was in the asylum.
Rephram says, I went to go and speak with him myself. They told me he was not allowed any visitors.
Do you know if your brother had any financial issues? Owed debt to anyone?
I don't believe so.
What did Jeremy like to do for fun? Did he have any hobbies or friends that he would hang out with?
When he was younger, he used to come here and help me in the shop, and in a more mechanical sense. Once he got older, it was harder for him to have the energy to maintain it, but every once in a while he would work in constructs. He goes over to one shelf and picks up a half-finished mechanical bird that looks quite lopsided and does not move fluidly at all. But regardless, Rephram gives it a smile and displays it and then returns it to its shelf.
So it sounds like, as best as you know, for poor Jeremy, it was either work in the factory, here helping you out, or perhaps working on some of these constructs.
As much as I know, yes.
I know it's been some time, but as best you can remember, the nights that the killings occurred, do you know where your brother was?
No, we live apart from one another and only could see each other a few times a week at best.
Where is it that Jimmy used to live?
The both of us lived in the in the merchants' quarter, just south of here.
Would
Just in
you
case,
be able
perhaps.
to show us?
I could, but I don't think it would provide any insight. The militia's been over that place dozens of times, and if anything remains intact, well, I don't know how useful it will be to you.
Well, you never know with matters like this. Sometimes the smallest detail is the most important.
I suppose I could take you there.
Speaking of the militia, how I understand that you have tried to speak to, or well, you tried to speak um, to have your brother released. Who did you? With whom were you actually speaking? Just um, one of the militia, or was it with Constable Jute, or
Someone at the garrison. I don't recall the name.
okay. Well, and you can think of no one and nothing who might might wish your brother, who might like to see your brother removed. I sorry, there's not a more delicate way to put that, but
No. No, I can't think of anyone.
The rumor about town is a lot of the victims, they're pretty brutally killed, to be honest. I've even heard rumors about, you know, demons, that sort of thing.
What do you say?
I mean, do you know anything about devils?
Oh.
Can I answer check?
Yes.
Okay. It's an 11.
She's clearly feeling very vulnerable and defensive over her brother and his memory, and is very guarded suddenly.
Looking around the shop, um, is there anything that like with my knowledge that like are like signs of fiends, anything like that, right? I'm looking for like weird stuff, right?
Yeah. Make me a perception check.
Okay, cool. Just kind of passing my eyes around.
Yeah.
I would also like to look for weird, dumb shit.
Yeah, I want to roll
Vest
perception as well.
For
Vestra,
weird.
you don't see anything that calls out to you. Vakaris, you see a number of things that call out to you.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, just all like it's the fact that this building is crammed full of uniquely crafted little objects.
All this clicking.
Scrivener, there's nothing peculiar about this place at all.
Yeah, I'm not looking for knickknacks. I'm looking for irregularities.
Yeah.
The books are in order.
Yeah, everything's in order.
They're all
Order.
alphabetical if they are on the shelf, as it turns
Excellent.
out.
Love to see it.
Does she? Well, I mean, I don't know if my 13 gets me anything, but does Eleanor herself, like, does she appear to be like nursing any kind of wounds or anything like that?
Not that you would be able to tell.
Cool. I'd ask about the old man, but you know.
Yeah, they're both kind of in bad shape as far as like poverty-stricken, sad folks go.
Yeah. Guilty.
All right. All right, you guys head over to. You guys want to go over to Jeremy's house?
Just give it a quick look. I don't expect to really find anything, but in case there's something the militia missed, I think it's worth checking out.
Okay. It's a good 20-minute walk. You see that the place has been absolutely trodden through, and disrupted. Every inch of it has been gone through. And there is absolutely nothing here that could indicate, that would implicate Jeremy.
I will cast Detect Magic and continue to look around, but I suspect the same will hold true.
Yes.
And is
Right, well.
Eleanor still with us? Like she brought us there or told us where to go? Okay.
Yeah. She came with you. Nicholas and Nachary also followed.
I'll just I'll say to Eleanor, you know, what happened to you and your family is a tragedy.
Thank you.
I hope we can. I hope we can bring some closure to this whole mess, but there is always the chance that we will find nothing. This has certainly been gone over fairly well, it would seem, by the militia, so we are sort of working with a no. What am I trying to say here? We're behind.
She looks devastated.
But we will do everything in our power, which is quite considerable, to make sure that we can get to the truth for you.
All right.
We don't. We understand the militia here is many times more out for their own interests, so it is.
Understood.
I will not put too much faith in their work just yet.
Thank you. Where would you like to go from here? Actually, we'll take our 10, and then we'll figure out where you're going from here.
And now, intermission. Refreshment time.
Sure is great being at a drive-in watching Super Flick and eating all this great food.
This flick is making me hungry.
It makes me want to flick my bick.
We should have gone to the drive-in where we could eat and flick to our heart's content.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Well, come on then. I'm going to have a pizza and popcorn and ice cream.
And I'm gonna have a burger with fries and a soft drink. Yum, yum, yum. This was a great idea.
No, that's not big enough. No, that's not big enough either. That's more like it. We're delighted to have you with us, and we extend a cordial welcome to you. We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on our giant screen with the new, colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading about. To add to your enjoyment, we're all wound up to bowl you over at intermission time with live wire service at our snack bar, where you'll find a tempting variety of favorite foods and beverages. Your continued patronage is very, very welcome. It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now. Sparkling soft drinks. Steaming hot coffee. Steamed or grilled hot dogs. Crispy hot fresh French fries. How about a pizza? None better anywhere.
sneaking out to the drive-in? Why not take the kiddies along and save the expense of a sitter? Everyone enjoys the drive-in.
Our new Cutlass now.
Sure handles easy.
Drive happy, Cutlass can make you a little drive happy.
I forgot to get the newspaper.
Glad we ordered these swivel bucket seats.
Yeah, in case I get to drive someday.
The Cutlass S, Oldsmobile's sporty fastback at a price that's less than you might think, to help make you really drive happy.
Drive happy.
Can I drive now?
Take a good look at Clyde Garfield's Cadillac and Oldsmobile dealership, and then take a drive in a new Oldsmobile, Cadillac, or one of the fine used cars, serviced by Clyde's 21 factory-trained personnel and expert craftsmen. Cadillac and Oldsmobile means the very best in automobiles, and Clyde Garfield is the best in dealership and service. Clyde Garfield's Cadillac and Oldsmobile, New England Automobile Village, Route 3, New Hampshire.
You're invited to stop in at Nashua's own McDonald's on Route 101A. You'll find McDonald's high quality, fast service, and reasonable prices. Also, visit McDonald's at the Drum Hill shopping area in Chelmsford. Treat yourself and the family at McDonald's soon.
And now, intermission. Refreshment time.
it's great being at a drive-in watching Super Flick and eating all this great food.
This flick is making me hungry.
It makes me want to flick my bick.
We should have gone to the drive-in where we could eat and flick to our heart's content.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Well, come on then. I'm going to have a pizza and popcorn and ice cream.
And I'm gonna have a burger with fries and a soft drink. Yum, yum, yum. This was a great idea.
No, that's not big enough. No, that's not big enough either. That's more like it. We're delighted to have you with us, and we extend a cordial welcome to you. We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on our giant screen with the new, colorful motion pictures you've been hearing.
Where do you want to go next?
We can leave for Eleanor back to work now that we've dragged up all sorts of horrible memories.
Ruined her day.
Yeah. Head to the constable.
Okay.
Or do we want to head to the asylum and see if we can grease a few palms, get some information, maybe figure out why Dory was there?
Yeah, I think maybe we should have a conversation about what tact we're going to take before we head over to the constable.
Or the asylum. Both need an actual, like, who are we, why are we here?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know that it would work for the asylum, but perhaps for the constable, right? Just allude to the fact that we're investigating similar crimes, right? And try and ask questions about whether there was, like, we're coming from the standpoint that we believe it's either a cult or a group of individuals or something, right? To just try and divert attention from the fact that we're calling into question the judgment of the individuals here and her judgment about Jeremy being responsible. We're not necessarily saying he was or wasn't. We've just got similar stuff going on, or have heard of similar stuff, and thought it was worth investigating. And that might also make her open up a little bit more about the bodies that have been found since, because it gives her a convenient excuse for why there have been bodies since Jeremy's been killed.
Yeah, although remember, she had nothing to do with, she may have been involved in arresting him, but the council members were the ones that actually passed judgment, and so that's
right.
Her.
But she's keeping the new bodies quiet.
True. I'm just saying, with regards to Jeremy himself, like whether he was executed or not is that's not something we can say is her fault or anything like that.
Oh no, right.
Yeah.
I like we're investigating something similar.
Mm.
Now, are you approaching it as Acquisitions Incorporated is?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Like, essentially just status as private investigators, basically. Which is what we are.
Hell yeah, that's a plan.
Anybody got any plans? Either other ideas for how to handle the constable, and B, any ideas whatsoever for what to do in the asylum?
The asylum Yeah, I think our best bet is talking to the orderlies who are going to have they're probably not paid well. Their job sucks. Like offering them some money for, hey, what was Councilman Dory doing here? Um,
Yeah, I
might
mean,
be our most direct route.
yeah, I mean, I think that probably checks out, but I'm wondering about the step before that, which is, do we just walk into the asylum and start talking to orderlies? Like, that doesn't
like,
seem like that'll last very long.
Why are we there? What are we doing?
You know, are we hanging out in alleys waiting for orderlies to come out and smoke? Right?
Yeah, what purpose would we have to be there? Because we can't be investigating Jeremy. He's dead. And the case is closed, you know?
We should figure out.
I mean, we easily can just passing ourselves off as I am sure that there are plenty of people in this entire town who think something's up, even if, we go the sort of Alex Jones route of being conspiracy theorists.
Okay.
I mean,
Let's turn the freaking frogs gay.
Yeah, I mean, coming in and just being like,
At my earliest convenience, will I shout that into Craig?
we just go in and we say like, we're just, we've been hired by as private investigators to get down to the bottom of stuff here.
We could also
been
just
hired
get-
by an anonymous party.
Yeah, like,
a
and
true
shit is
statement.
clearly fucked here. So we're like, we're gonna get to the bottom of it. What's it? Well, we were hired not to tell you.
And then they tell us to leave.
Another.
Depending on who we're talking to, entirely possible.
I just give them
if an
gold.
orderly's like, get out, and we're like, okay, I could do that, or I could hand you these five very shiny coins.
Yeah, it's got to be more than 5 coins. You understand that, right?
5 gold is probably more than these orderlies make in a
It is
long
not
time.
enough. Not for what it is that you want to do.
shithole.
Not for what you want to have happen. 5 gold is not enough.
To bribe someone?
To get us in an asylum?
You guys just paid 100 gold for 2 dudes to take you around town.
Well, yeah, we got ripped off by them. Like,
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
no,
but
no.
like,
yes, we did, but we also paid them so that we don't get stabbed.
Yeah, I'm not saying you need to pay the orderly
by anyone else.
like 100 gold. I'm saying like maybe you want to bump it up to like 10, something like that. They would, instead of considering, they'll say, "Yes, I want that."
Okay, I see your point.
Right. Maybe we can figure out a cover after the after the constable. You know. Hey, can Vicaris make us all look like orderlies?
Just make us look like constables. we go to the constable first. We figure out what their uniform looks like over there, what their whole shit is. Then
we all look like Constable Jew.
Yeah, then we all look like constables for the rest of the day. We're all in constable uniforms.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
Why don't we deal with the constable first, and then we can alter our
steal his outfits. Yep, and be a bunch of human orderlies, or just like, I don't know, a goon squad of sheriffs.
We could alter our plan as necessary.
Yeah. Okay. To the constable.
Yep.
okay. All right. Fortunately, from where you are, it is not as far a walk as the path you've been taking so far. Just over here, a ways, especially not far by water taxi, you are brought to the garrison, which is a 3-story stone building that is crowded enough to feel rather oppressive. You see a you see a number of these militia members who are young, like very, very young, and very satisfied to be sitting around and getting paid for it. And it takes very little inquiring before they would happily direct you upwards and out of their what's the word? Off their desk towards the constable. There she is. Um, you are directed towards Constable Jude. At this point, it is evening. It is dark out. It is winter and cold and nighttime. Um, but there is a middle-aged woman with dark hair and tired eyes, some scarring around her face. That all is that kind of red soreness that many of the people around here seem to have. She looks bothered, but but makes an effort to look less so when you enter her office. What can I help you with?
Constable Jute, I go through the whole rigmarole. I introduce everybody in seniority order as normal. We have been tasked by an anonymous party to examine the recent activity of the killer referred to as the Lantern Ghost. We understand that it was your officers that made an arrest in these killings. One Jeremy Lavage, and we are investigating and hoping that you could provide us with further information on what it is exactly that transpired at Jeremy's arrest.
She sits back with her arms crossed and tilts her chin down so she looks up at you with a bit of a scowl. And she says, "That case is closed. Is there anything else I can help you with?"
We are aware the case is closed. We have that does not change our investigation into this issue. Are there any other? It's just Jute, right?
Mm-hmm. And the 10 of you.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are no
yes.
militiamen or anything.
Yes.
Is Nick and Knack in here with us right now?
Yes.
Can I tell them to go wait outside?
Rude. Do.
We have reason to believe that there is potentially more to this situation than just Jeremy, which is why we are looking for any further information you can provide on Jeremy's arrest.
The case is made as public as it is allowed to be. The council ensured that everyone understands that Mr. Lovage was suspected and then found and then executed as the Lantern Ghost killer. I don't know what else I might be able to provide to you.
I mean, certainly the arrest report would be available.
Who hired you?
An anonymous party.
What purpose?
To fully understand what happened. I thought we had been over this.
She is scrutinizing you. I already understand that I host an embarrassment of a task force, and the last thing that I need is for even more poor publicity.
Mm-hmm. I assure you, we are extremely discreet. We are just simply hoping to forestall any further embarrassment that might occur if there were perhaps some underlying situation which might prove, well, that might cause trouble, perhaps something that might wash up or put the town at ill rest. We are just trying to do our due diligence on the part of our employer. And I'm sure, given the somewhat glowing things we've heard about your work here in town, we know that well, you live here in the Styes. I'm sure you're aware of the reputation of the militia, and that from everything we have heard, you are beyond reproach. So the sooner we can, the sooner we can get through this, the sooner we can leave your town.
Make me an intimidation check.
Oh boy. Let's see if those go better than my persuasion checks.
Huh.
Yes, so. Well.
Yeah. Well, now we know you've just been playing the game wrong. She's grinding her teeth as she sits forward and puts her crossed hands on her desk, hunches forward, and says, "Truth. Jeremy was found with another body. Another mutilated body. It was luck that found him. My men had barely anything to do with it. He was weird when he was brought in. He kept saying he didn't know what was happening. He was scared. He was covered in someone's blood and he was scared. I don't even think if was involved in the Lantern Ghost killings, I don't think he could have been alone. Also don't think he was in his right mind. I don't know what they did to him open air, but I don't think it did him any good if they still deemed it appropriate to execute him. That's saying something. I've certainly brought people to open air and they do good work there. They care for their patients. They take care of everyone who's brought there. It's one of the few bastions of infrastructure that hasn't completely failed this city. Something was weird about Lovage. But I was not permitted investigation.
You were not permitted to investigate the man you arrested?
By order of the council.
Did you happen to investigate any of the bodies that were found?
I'd seen a number of them. Enough so that when another one showed up, I would know. I would be able to tell by description.
Would you say the wounds were consistent with a slashing weapon or something more like claws?
They were gutted.
Takes quite a bit to do that.
I agree.
Little dagger probably couldn't do it. You probably need something big.
Or strong.
Was he found with any weapons? Large.
Just that one dagger.
Did Jeremy strike you as a strong man?
Hardly. I was in shock, but even still.
You said you were allowed to see the bodies so you would know if the way you said that, did more wash up?
Her brow creases as she stares at you for a while, determines whether or not she feels it fair to speak, and eventually says, bodies like this have been turning up for 6 months.
Six months.
We heard that the killings were only happening for 10 days or so, maybe 2 weeks.
That's when I finally managed to convince the council that this was indeed a public threat, and that the people needed to know that there was some crazed murderer on the loose. Or
Always
then they were just being pulled out of the river or stashed in alleys.
And always the same. Slashed, gutted.
Rib cage intact, everything pulled out through the guts.
And
left there or removed entirely?
Pulled out and gone.
never found any of the internal organs.
Not as if it were, I don't know. It wasn't as if some medical professional was extracting them. It was more like whatever could be taken was.
Guards who arrested Jeremy, did they ever say anything?
Not anything different.
The same as
Although,
you've said us?
yeah. Although Jeremy wasn't found with anything that had been taken from that corpse.
Just blood.
Just blood.
And just on his hands.
All over him, really.
You say that he said that he didn't know what was going on. Was there any phrases or anything in particular that he repeated? Often in shock, people say strange things.
Just that he was confused and Didn't know where he was or how he got there. When I spoke with him before he was turned over to the asylum, he kept insisting he did not know how he had how he had gotten to where he was. After that, I wasn't permitted to speak with him anymore.
That seems awfully strange.
I agree.
Is there anything that you can think of that stands out that did come up in your investigation? What little you were able to do? We know that there was little time between his admittance to the asylum and his execution. We know there was little time between that, owing to your alchemical issues with the cemetery. There was little time between his execution and his cremation.
Nothing else.
Said these killings have been going on for 6 months. Is there anything that happened roughly half a year ago that stands out to you?
Not at all.
Where were the first bodies found?
In the river. The merchant's quarter.
As I'm sure you've been putting it together, we've been asking a bit around town. A lot of rumors here about what's happened.
I'm sure.
You know, there doesn't seem to be any pattern that anyone's been able to figure out. And of course, now nobody cares, but you've been thinking about this for half a year or more.
I wish I could give you more information.
What made you decide to get into this line of work?
Somebody's got to do it right.
Seems you really care about this place.
I do.
If you are in this work because somebody has to do it right, does that mean that somebody was not doing it right before?
Take a look around. And she kind of gestures to the open office door where there are where many militia members are doing nothing.
Hard work. Enforcing the rules of civilization. It often goes unrecognized.
She grimaces.
For what it's worth.
Okay. I hope you keep that fire of yours alive. To do the right thing.
And for what it's worth, from the people we've spoken to so far, your efforts are not unnoticed. People do recognize that you actually care about what's going on here in this place.
Hey.
What did you mean when you said it was just pure luck that your men found Jeremy? did they just happen upon him in an alley with a body and blood?
Just like that.
6 months, bodies are turning up with no headway, and then the killer suddenly gets sloppy enough to be caught in an alley with a victim.
Crack of dawn. Right where? Right at a patrol, right on a patrol path.
Not just sloppy enough, but 6 months of these killings going on, and 10 days after the good constable here calls attention to it. The militia's lucky enough to stumble upon the killer in an alley.
Very, very convenient.
Yes, very.
If you come to learn anything else, I would like to know.
I can't make any promises owing to the somewhat anonymous nature of our investigation, but when information is able to be given, we will make sure that you are informed.
Any other questions?
No.
Whoa, Tyler! That's anchored to the wall. Okay, it was just tipping. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I have some questions for her. So what's the deal with this? The undead coming to life in your cemeteries?
That is something I can't even pretend that I know anything about.
Who would?
Maybe Solaris. We don't have holy folk in town.
Well, that's evident. I think if you did, they would have solved this problem.
Well, as much of a problem as it is truthfully been more of an inconvenience and just urban legend mostly.
So bodies aren't really coming to life, or just simply aren't in the numbers that people are saying?
She rubs her temple and shakes her head and says, I've known that at least two have managed to pull themselves from the grave, but it is not the terror of the southern quarter that everyone makes it out to be.
Still, the undead are abominations.
Perhaps that's something we can offer our assistance with to whoever it is that runs the cemetery.
I'm sure she wouldn't mind the help.
Well, if you have no more questions about the undead in the cemetery, I have questions on another subject that the good constable might be able to help me with.
She nods to you.
What can you tell me about the alchemical industry here in town? I'm an artificer myself, and although it's not my particular forte, I'm always interested.
Well, produce most of the major, more common potion substances out on the coast. prolific healers and poisoners, medicine and illusion, all sorts of transmutive power. I can't even remember which factory was built first, but it didn't take long. This place was a very profitable location for a while.
Is it
Everything started small and then grew quickly.
is it all one company or organization, or is it just an industry town and there's lots of different competing organizations?
There's some competition. I think that some of them may have founded guilds together. All in all, it's free market.
Well, I don't know how much you know about alchemy, but a lot of it requires some rather exotic ingredients. Do you know where? I mean, with such a large operation, there must be large shipments coming in or large fields nearby where they can get these things. Are you aware of where these people are getting their components from?
I think mostly it's shipped in. Yeah. Other people more capable of finding materials send it to people who are more capable of turning those materials into something useful.
So a lot of trade of raw goods coming in and the potions going out. I see.
Yeah.
Who would you recommend talking to at any of these organizations or guilds that represent these companies?
That's a good question. Well, he's not anything. He's not quite as big as some of the major corporations, but there's a gentleman. His name is Lockwood, and she writes down like an address and name. Let's see.
Great.
He's an alchemist, although takes on more of the mundane chemistry. And he's got more insight into it.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else I can do for all of you?
Is there anything that we can do for you?
You do seem overwhelmed.
Well. I mean, the most I suppose I could ask is just stay out of trouble. She smiles.
We will do our best. Given the nature of our investigation, well, if everything is as you say, then we shouldn't have to ruffle any feathers. Thank you for your time, Constable.
She nods and leads you out.
Like, is that a James Bond?
It sure is.
Okay. A James Bond perfume combo pun. Zashel, I'm impressed. After a while, I wasn't sure you had her, but hook, line, and sinker.
Well, I mean, the constable is, from all accounts and from what we've just seen, genuinely interested in making sure this town well, I can't really say is safe, I suppose, given that there is it's not exactly a secret that things are dangerous here. But I'm glad we were able to get what we did. I won't say what we needed. Don't.
It's just impressive, because like it's one thing to hear it happening, and then it's another to see it happening.
Yes, the recordings. Yes. Well, we could speak to Sliris, who handles the. I keep going back to what was said about Jeremy. One, not looking as though he had the physical capability to do what was done to the bodies, but also the um, the mental state he was in when he was arrested, his not knowing where he was.
Mm. Could be shock.
Yeah, but shock at what?
I mean, he just saw someone gutted in front of him. Or he did the gutting. That seems unlikely. I mean, what was the old man? Was it Riffin? Rifton?
Rephraim.
Rephraim. I mean, you heard Rephraim. He said that he couldn't manage the energy to put together little clockworks. I mean, hard to imagine you could tear the innards out of anything.
Even if he found, even if he was a bystander, he saw the body, picked it up, and that's how he got the blood on him. The fact that he couldn't remember how he got there, that he had no idea where he was or how he got there, that we have seen and we have dealt with a ghost that would possess a person's body. Now, Yap, as far as I'm aware, you were the only one who was. I don't remember. This was some time ago in the Dreadwood. The ghost and the Onis.
Oh yes.
I think you were the only one who was actually possessed, so you would be the only one that has the experience to say, would a ghost possessing somebody create potentially those gaps in memory?
Not from your brief experience.
I don't believe that it would.
There are magics, much like what I do, to make someone do something against their will, and then another spell to simply erase any recollections that the person has.
This is all good conjecture, but might I interject real briefly? Zashel, maybe we should get Kathiri and warn her. I'm a bit concerned, and, maybe it's a situation where when the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. But I hear stories of 6 months of bodies with their internal organs missing, and I'm an artificer that knows quite a bit about what to do with blood magic, and we're in a town with a bunch of alchemists. I would be very concerned with anybody going up against the alchemists in this town. I'd be concerned for their safety.
Well, Q3 is fine. She's right here with us.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
She's small.
We never did find lodging where we could have.
Au contraire, we acquired you lodging.
Oh, right. You did. Thank you. We should probably available ourselves of that. I believe it is getting late, and if we're going to meet with anyone, that might be best for tomorrow. The cemetery, on the other hand, I don't know. We could at least get something to eat and plan our next step, not on the street.
I think it'd be a good idea. Though interesting you bring up the cemetery, since I was about to. Look, the thing is, I definitely have to go there tonight. Um, on the way here, you've all seen me do rituals in the morning and evening, and on a ship while traveling with no access to cemeteries, there are exceptions to be made. However, these rituals I need to do them. And if there is a cemetery nearby, then they must be performed there. So I need to go there. I don't have to look into anything, though I will be making sure no undead are, walking around, but kind of something I have to do.
I will accompany you then.
Can also go with. That way you are not alone.
I would enjoy the company.
Near a butcher shop, and with the stable, and near the mortuary. Well, I'm sorry, we can only do 2 of 3.
I can walk to the cemetery. That's
yes, we can.
Sure. They lead you to a very much like gaudy building that has long since lost its luster, but still well operated. Where did it go? Uh, Rashland's Place is what is the name of this location. That is just about here-ish in this quarter. In the merchants quarter, so it remains one of the more upscale locations of the city, but only moderately so. Um, you see Knack and his companion go and speak with someone at the desk. You see an exchange of gold, and then you are afforded accommodations here for one gold per room, and you can take as many rooms as you'd like.
How many rooms do we want? How many of us are there?
How big are the rooms? How many beds?
There are 7 members of the Lighthouse franchise. Key3 is here. Nick and Knack have their own house.
Yeah.
Are they 2-bed rooms?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 8. Zashla, I suppose you want to stay with your sister. Um, if there are no objections, I can stay with Vestra, and then Yop and No can pair up, and that just leaves Lucky and.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So that's 8 total, so 8 gold, right? I'm sorry. 4 rooms total.
4.
4. I'm very tired. Cool, I got it. 29.
Wonderful.
But I believe another stop, correct?
Yep.
Sorry.
I said that to Vestra.
I'm sorry, I did not understand what you said.
No, you're good. We have another stop, correct?
Oh, Yes. Though I do need to see the stables first.
You are shown the stables. They are in such deep disuse. Horses do not belong here.
Cool. Cool. Is there
There's
like
a very confused stable boy who is prepared to service as necessary, but you might worry that his experience might be lacking.
yeah.
I know what you're doing here,
Yeah.
but just
I am cool. I walk through and then there's usually like different sized, right? And
Mhm.
whatever one is the larger one, I'll point to that one and say, all right, I need this one cleaned out. You'll need fresh hay and lots of meat, chickens, rabbit, raw, cooked. It really doesn't matter.
Yes, ma'am. Horses eat meat.
Oh my
May I,
god, did that voice. Oh god, that reminds me.
may I ask what all this is for?
Oh, um, I can show you, but it takes about 10 minutes or so.
I am patient.
We will wait.
Um, I will, I will, I will kneel down and begin reciting a prayer in Celestial for uh, 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, uh, like a shadowy kind of circle appears on the ground in that larger kind of stable area, um, and large clawed furred arms begin like pulling something out of the shadowy hole, um, and a large furred snarling faced warg emerges, shakes itself off of some of the shadow as it like flies into the air and dissipates off. Um,
Huh.
Lucaris gently squeezes Noel's arm.
it's big, like the size of a horse big, right? Um, it's like dripping, like tendrils of drool. Like it looks like a vicious animal. Um, and Vestra stands up, clasps her hands together excitedly. um, oh, there's my good boy. Come here. Come to mommy. I, the warg will come nuzzle against Vestra. She
Well,
scratches it, pets it.
um, what's happening?
She summoned a warg.
No, I'm like specifically asking
this
Vestra.
is this your pet
Oh, he's
or
more than a pet. He's my lifelong companion. He's the
uh-huh.
person I trust the most. Isn't that
Oh,
right? My dear Orex, I missed you so much.
so he is like Baja Blast.
What?
This is Baja Blast.
Wait, I know this one.
Huh.
Hold on. This is the goose, right?
No, Rage Fang.
Oh, well, who's Baja Blast?
Oh, this is my what this is to you. Baja Blast is to me.
Oh, the dog, yes. Yes, something like that. He's very nice.
Your Warg or Baja Blast?
Well, I can only really speak to Oryx, but
Yeah, I'll put a hand out. Very apprehensively.
it's like one of those dogs that like looks mean the entire time that you're reaching your hand out to, right? There's growling and snarling. Um, and Vestra just says heal, and it just like immediately sits, right? And is calm and allows you to pet
Is
it.
it going to come with us to the graveyard or?
Oh, absolutely.
He listens much better than Baja Blast.
I've been trapped on a boat for so long, and the last time I saw him was back in Waterdeep.
Where is he when he is not here?
I don't actually know.
Mm-hmm.
He's a gift from, the Lord of
Mm-hmm.
Death, so I suppose he's like with him.
Well,
Shall we
shall
go?
we?
Of course. She like swings her leg over, hops on him, just grabs hold of some of the fur, and pads towards the graveyard.
You are led just barely out of your way now, this way, to a plot that is just overlooking the river. There is fencing around the graveyard, which is overgrown with heavy grass. Um, there are some monuments and headstones of incredible age peering through the undergrowth. And then there is a large stone building set behind it all.
Um, is that does it look like that would be the mortuary?
Yeah, and the crematorium.
In the crematorium. Is there smoke actively coming out as if they're burning bodies currently?
No, not currently.
I'll just out of habit give a quick eyes of the grave sweep, like as we enter.
All clear.
Okay. Yep.
Are you going through the graveyard to the mortuary?
I'll leave that for them to decide. Uh, I'll just find like some place near several of the graves. Hop off Urix and uh, begin preparing for my evening ritual.
Okay. What are you other two doing?
I am going to walk the grounds looking for any sign of disturbance or disruption.
Okay.
Basically anywhere. Although I'm definitely looking for like, undead explicitly, but
I am watching the entire scene with Vestra while also keeping Noel within line of sight. There it is.
Okay. As Noel, you are wandering, you do hear something in the grass, and a very short, mousy woman with a sharp shovel sort of springs out. Halt! Who goes there?
yes, hello.
Trespasser?
No.
Mm. Don't like the look of your robes. What are you doing here?
I am a scrivener.
She looks at you with confusion.
More specifically, I'm here looking for abnormalities.
No irregularities here. Thank you.
Yes.
I have handled it.
What do you mean, handled it?
We haven't had anything crawling up yet in years. Thank you very much. It's all this muck. It's the soil's being ruined, and it's all the fault of those factories. You haven't had any problem. No, thank you. Kindly. And she kind of squints at your robes, like in the dark, trying to see you better, and eventually resorts to pulling out a lantern and fiddling with it to light it.
Yeah, Noel doesn't make any sudden moves. Just kind of very still, watching her, letting her have time to acclimate.
Once her lantern is lit, she continues to squint at you in the darkness and says, "We don't take very kindly to intruders and trespassers and folks of your kind." And she sort of
My kind.
sort of jabs the shovel towards you.
By my kind, do you mean Verbolg or priests?
Priests. I don't know what the hell the other thing is.
That is refreshing. You do not like. Well, that makes sense. I do not intend to stay here long, but.
Hey! As she turns abruptly towards Vicaris and Vestra, having
Yes, they are
apparently noticed them.
A ritual.
No! 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 Out! Out! All of you! Go! Out!
Hold on, I'm almost finished.
No! 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 She begins swinging the shovel violently.
See, you can only handle one set of us at a time. So you can go handle them, and I will finish patrolling here, and then I will leave.
No! 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 All of you! Out!
Hold on, I've just finished the celebration of courage. I need to finish the purpose and then the strength.
She runs over to you and strikes you in the head.
Okay. Does she actually hit me?
Holy shit. You know, it is not a real weapon, but it is a nat 20 she has just hit you with.
Yeah, Noel just waves a dismissive hand and cancels it. Just, no.
Out, or I shall summon the militia.
I like reach and touch the blood on my head and look at her. Um, uh, uh, she's pissed me off.
She doesn't like priests.
Um.
And you! And her light swings to you, Vicaris. What are you doing here?
Thing, I am here with some friends. I was standing just here. I'm not doing anything.
I know you. I was told about you. She shakes her finger at you.
Oh, nobody knows me.
Everyone knows you.
You don't even know me.
I know you. You're the pretty little elf.
Oh.
Now out, all of you, or I shall call the militia.
Yep, but who told you about me?
None of your business. Now out.
Miss, if you wouldn't mind, we don't mean any harm. My name is Vestra, and I am a paladin of Kellam Vor. Do you know who that is?
No, and I don't care. Out.
I am afraid I cannot acquiesce to this.
She she begins shouting very loudly for guards. And it is almost instantly that you hear running footsteps in the road.
Please, you don't need to yell, okay? I mean, we could just have a conversation about this.
Oh, it is after hours. It is dark. You are performing rituals in the graveyard. I don't trust you. You and your spirituality. Get out! Out!
I mean, perhaps you could learn to trust us. Maybe we could come to an understanding.
There are guards making their way into the graveyard. She is very perturbed, and they are beginning to ask what needs doing, and she is pointing to all three of you.
I will lift up my hands and say, "Oh God, okay, okay, we are leaving." And cast mislead. And my illusory double will start to walk away.
I'll start walking towards the gate with my arms up, looking very nonplussed.
A couple of guards come to stand over you, Vestra.
I eye them, eye the woman, and say, "Fine. Just know that when your time comes, he'll see you."
Jesus.
No need to be spiteful.
I I snap my fingers and call out, "Urix, come. We're leaving."
As you two leave, Vakaris still standing next to this woman. You see her nose twitch several times as she sniffs, and she looks uh, in, like, kind of in your direction, and swings her lantern around trying to see in the dark. She clearly doesn't see you, but she seems aware of you.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's going to be a long hour.
Yeah. I'm kind of waiting for her to give up, looking for me, and I want to see what she's doing, where she's going.
You hear her murmuring to herself, something about like the stink of the high fae. How dare they? Uh, and uh, and the arrogance on some elves, really so insulting, so degrading. Um, and eventually, the guards leave, and she continues murmuring to herself and heads back to the mortuary. Um, Hangs her lantern outside in case it is needed again. Um, and goes inside uh to like and then like at the back half of the mortuary there's like a quarters for her to be like for her to sleep if she needs to, which
Hmm.
goes directly to. You see her go to one of the corners of the room. Uh you hear some squeaking as she and like some mice and rats kind of skitter around the corners of this room. She picks up a couple of the rats and begins talking to them, uh, nonplussed about the whole affair. Two holy figures and that one fucking elf. How dare he? And then she sets them down and begins going through her cupboards looking for something to eat.
Her tone seems very pointed right now. How much time has passed?
uh, this is about 20 minutes.
Okay. Um, Anything of interest in her room?
Absolutely not.
Anything of interest to me in her room?
Um, looks like she might have a sending stone, just kind of loose.
Um, hmm. No, I think. No, I think I'll wait 10 more minutes to see if she does anything interesting.
Yeah, nothing. She just goes about her evening, like settling in.
Cool. I'll walk outside, and as soon as I'm outside, I will hit her lantern so it falls down. And then I will go off to the side and cast Dimension Door to get as far away from that place as possible and head back.
Okay.
In walking back with Vestra, Noah is going to mutter loudly enough for her to hear, "This town is a shithole."
Thinks too.
It is at least a shithole in interesting ways, I suppose.
I
He
suppose.
he takes a sniff. It does stink.
I'm gonna have to start the whole thing over.
Would it? Do I need to sanctify an area for you?
No, it's fine.
There's papers.
I
Paperwork could be done for this.
There's no need.
Uh-huh.
There are provisions for when a cemetery is not available. I suppose this would be one. I'm not about to fight the guards over a ritual.
Yeah, Noel shrugs.
You all make it back to the inn. Anything you're doing while there?
Zashel is going to send to Joshua through the rings.
Uh-huh.
I almost forgot to do this, but then the voice. Joshua, any updates on Scarin? How are things in Saltmarsh?
Things are fine, I think. Literally nothing's happened. Everything's fine.
You're keeping an eye on him?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Perfect. Keep up the good work. Man, free sending is awesome.
Okay. Anything else?
I spend some time playing with Oryx. He needs a little bit of exercise. So did that kid get me some meat?
Yeah.
Sick. Like tossing stuff in the air, making him jump for it. But I finish my ritual, and I'll tell him to be very good and don't eat the staple boy.
Are the streets made of cobble here? Because if so, that is making a truly wild noise every time he jumps and hits the ground. Just skitter, skitter, ball. They can hear the panting from inside.
Anyone else? Very well. Oh, Doug, was that you?
Sniffled. That's it.
Okay. All right. Very well then. Everyone take a long rest, and we will pick this up for the morning next week.
The